Hi everyone, and welcome to Hack.com's weekly crypto wrap-up. We have just concluded another week in the market, another very active week for cryptocurrency traders. Welcome wherever you may be. My name is Sam Borgi, Chief Editor to Hacked. Every week around this time, late Friday, early Saturday, we like to give everybody on Hacked an overview of the major market moving events over the past 7 days or so. Obviously, there's been a lot of movement in the market, a lot of regulatory talk, a lot of resistance as cryptos attempt their broad recovery. We saw that again this week. Highly volatile times. That's also on the stock market side as well. We saw the developments of a major rift between China and the United States this week over trade. Our goal here is to give you just some of the pointers on what moved the market over the past few days and what are some of the major themes that could unfold as we move forward. Once again, you can contact me at any time, sam@hack.com. I'm fairly accessible. I'm also available on Workplace if you're on Hacked, or simply leave me a comment here on the YouTube page, and we will keep the conversation going. So the weekly webinar wrap-up simply gives you an overview of the week that was in the market, focusing, of course, on global cryptos and any of the major coins that have made significant moves. We then give you a recap of the major developments on Hacked, some of the most popular articles for the week, and we've collected a few of the themes in the market that could impact trading both on the crypto side and on the stock market side, as well as the currency side, moving into what will be the final week of March. So beginning with the weekly overview, of course, the crypto rally had a highly volatile few days. We saw the market tank at around $275 billion earlier in the week, which is, of course, the lowest level since around November. The previous bottom that we saw in early February, if everyone recalls, was around $276 billion. So we saw the breakdown again this week, followed by a huge rally. However, it did stall at around $355 billion, followed by a late week reversal. So we are seeing huge resistance for the broader market. It seems like a lot of the altcoins now are once again following Bitcoin's lead. I mean, obviously, for most of the market's history, Bitcoin has been the major driver of global crypto. But over the past while, I mean, into the early part of the new year, we began to see a bit of a divergence from that, and Bitcoin was no longer had the oversized or the outsized impact on the market that it has now, I would say, or that it had several months ago. So we saw, a huge shift into altcoins, into speculation into altcoins earlier in the year as the market peaked over $830 billion. At that time, Bitcoin's share of the market fell to around 32% at its lowest. It has since rebounded and approached 45%. So we saw the coin briefly overtake 9,000 earlier in the week before falling back in the 8,500 range. At the time of writing, or at the time of putting the presentation together here on the eastern seaboard of North America, it's around 10 p.m. right now. Bitcoin is trading at around 8,700. So we are seeing a bit of a minor rally right now heading into the weekend, which really isn't out of the ordinary. Of course, we've also been monitoring trends in Ethereum. I mean, one of the great things about Ether prices, if you're a holder of Ether, is that it was fairly resistant to a lot of the huge moves in the market earlier in the year. Even if you go back to early March, you saw Ethereum was relatively, pretty much had broken even for 2018. That has since come undone. We saw Ether fall below $500 this week as the rout in the crypto market continued. It is currently trading at around $540. Of course, there's a lot of talk about regulation. We saw the G20 earlier this week made some pretty good comments in favor of keeping a relatively lax environment toward cryptos. Mark Carney, who's also the BOE governor, pretty much said that the cryptocurrency market does not currently pose a risk to the financial stability or to the financial system more generally, because it remains only a very, very small fraction of the total pie. So that could change moving forward, but it seems like the G20 has adopted a more neutral approach, or a calmer outlook when it comes to regulation. It seems like, in my opinion, they're going to be monitoring the developments in the market. A lot of these regulators are still trying to understand what the heck this thing really is before they move ahead with regulation. So we are obviously following that. A lot of FUD in the market, resulting in the losses that we've seen recently. In terms of some of the news, we have seen a lot of news around Binance, and many of you are aware Binance, on a lot of days, is the world's biggest crypto exchange by trading volume, and it received a warning from Japan's FSA about licensing recently, essentially telling them register with us or face a penalty. Binance is not part of the, I think, 16 or so crypto exchanges that are regulated or licensed by the FSA. So the chief executive of Binance has been fairly open about this process on Twitter, and he also criticized a report earlier in the week by Nikkei saying you guys didn't really get it all right. It was very irresponsible of you to report this kind of fear, uncertainty, and doubt when we are actively in dialogue with the Japanese authorities. Anyway, the Hong Kong-based exchange, this is Binance, announced on Friday it will be moving to Malta. And the more interesting part of that is that it said it's going to be working on a fiat to crypto platform. Obviously, many of us work with Coinbase, and one of the appeals of Coinbase is that fiat to crypto buying, right? You can deposit $1,000 and then go ahead and buy a Ripple, not Ripple, sorry, you can go ahead and buy Bitcoin, a Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum. It seems like the Binance exchange is going that route. Interesting about Ripple, lots of rumors about XRP joining Coinbase, but nothing has been confirmed so far. And of course, so Binance earlier this month foiled an elaborate phishing scam targeting altcoins. So that was an important development that we covered just a few weeks ago. So in terms of price trends, you take a look here at Ethereum and the movements that we saw heading into the March 23rd, that huge crash that we saw below 500, and we've since rebounded to around $540. So Ethereum really joining in the overall direction of the market recently. And the global crypto market at last check at CoinMarketCap, I saw it around $341 billion. So we hit a high of around 355 before slowly descending in the coming days. Seems to be some stability now heading into the weekend. So that was cryptos. Obviously, we keep track of other markets as well, and it was absolute carnage for the equity markets on Thursday and Friday. The Dow Jones over those 2 days fell more than 1,100 points, closing at its lowest level since early February. So all the major exchanges on Wall Street fell. They also fell in Europe, and by the looks of it, European markets on Monday, as well as Asia, will be responding to the huge rout that we saw again on Friday on Wall Street. Now, the slide was triggered early on Thursday by news that President Trump had or was moving forward on implementing huge tariffs on China, right? Because Trump has long maintained that China's trade practices are suspect and that they are essentially stealing intellectual property from the U.S. and they're not playing fair. I've seen a few figures about the U.S. trade deficit with China, but it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So this was part of his campaign promise. I mean, legally, politically, he seems to have a strong case for doing what he's doing. Whether or not this is going to translate into a meaningful economic gain for the U.S. is yet to be seen. So the total tariffs so far are $60 billion on Chinese imports. Beijing responded on Friday by levying $3 billion on American-made goods. So essentially, China said on Thursday that we will buy more American if you guys let us buy the stuff that we want. There are certain restrictions on what China can purchase with respect to U.S. goods, and that's really where we stand right now. Obviously, Trump earlier this month talked about steel tariffs, and the EU has since warned Trump that if you pursue tariffs with us, we'll come back at you, essentially triggering a trade war. So obviously this is going to be a huge mover in the financial markets, stocks, currencies. are going to be impacted. The CBOE VIX is trading at around 6-week highs again, hitting 25, north of 25 on Friday. In terms of hack.com, I mean, we have been writing quite a bit of ICO analysis this week. We had one every day. Some of the examples included DAV, CryptoFlix, and Safin. Most read articles of the week, you see them there. We have a crypto update. We also have a analysis of the crypto market, assessing the damage after the huge collapse that we saw. Also some speculation about what Bitcoin's transaction volume could mean for the broader market. The long-term Bitcoin analysis came back into play, as well again as another market update that we saw earlier in the week. Moving forward, we are keeping track on a lot of things. Obviously, fear, uncertainty, and doubt continues to drive the market. We are keeping track of the regulatory outlook. I speculated earlier this week that Taiwan could become a big player for cryptocurrency because they are creating a system. Essentially, it seems like an incubator of some sort for the fintech sector, which could also nurture crypto startups. Essentially, anybody who joins this program can bring their product or service to market without regulation or at a significantly lower regulatory burden than other companies. So I'm keeping a track of Taiwan. Nothing major has happened in terms of it becoming a new center for cryptocurrency, but I see it as being a good, potentially a good location moving forward. So we know Singapore is also emerging as a center for crypto as well. Obviously, looking at the Bitcoin Dominance Index, around 45% of the market now is Bitcoin again. So people are coming back into Bitcoin as speculation in the altcoins continues to decline. The global trade war has emerged, lots of concern, and this will surely impact the market. And we'll be keeping track of economic data next week as we go into the Easter weekend. So that covers everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed this brief recap. Let me know your thoughts. And we hope that you have a great weekend. Typically, the cryptos do tend to bounce on the weekend, so maybe you have that to look forward to. We'll see. And we'll be back with articles all weekend long, all of next week, and I will catch you for another weekly installment. This time, looks like end of March. Have a good one. See you next time. Take care.